Living the good fat life with your host Karen and Sherri. They'll help everything align for your body, soul, and mind. The good fat life, whether change comes slow or dramatically. The good fat life will help you sort things out organically.
Hey, Sherri, that song makes me laugh every time. It makes me so happy. It's a happy song.
It is just, there's just something so comforting and happy about it. You're right. You're right.
And when I try to push things or control things, I just think, let it happen organically.
Right.
Thank you, Wally.
Thank you, Wally.
For
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
For writing for our theme song for our podcast. This is our 60-second podcast.
60-second. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Do you remember the first one? We were on Zoom.
We were so nervous, right?
We
it was
were
like,
so
how
nervous.
do we hold our hands? What do we say? How do we look? Yeah.
But we were on Zoom.
We were on Zoom.
And it was like in May. It was in May, but it felt like there'd just been a snowstorm.
Was it in May or
something.
April? I think it was April, I want to say.
It
Anyway.
was in that, yeah.
It was too warm to snow.
But there was snow, and it was right in the middle of the pandemic. We'd been into it for a couple months. So, yeah.
Yeah, 3 brave souls. We had our tech guy with us who believed in us and us too, and we just made it happen, and here we are, right?
And here we are. Yeah, now in this gorgeous speakeasy studio, right?
Yeah. So a lot of people have been, there's been feedback. It's like, so the podcast alone, it's like we went from Zoom to here, and then the magazine, and people, I guess in general, people want to know more about Good Fat Life and the team, and what we're doing and who we are and who you are. And, I always love learning more about you, Sherri, and I can't get enough of Good Fat Life magazine. And, and speaking of that, we have so much content, you guys, check it out. Make sure you, do the QR code or go to www.goodfatlife.com and check it out. We have so much information, and we're going to share some of it with you today. And even, I don't even think we realize, Sherri, the plethora of information we have.
Well, and as I was going back through the issues, it was like, oh my gosh, my life has really changed in a number of ways.
Yeah, because
of Good Fat Life and the research we've done and the guests that we've had on, and I mean, it just goes on, and it's and the other part of it is it's a real work in process, right?
Yeah, not to mention when you say Good Fat Life, you mean from the beginning of your nutrition with Good Fat, and then to the the creation of the magazine, right? So it's all.
Well, and the podcast.
And the podcast.
And the people that we've met. It's really enriched my life in ways I just hadn't realized. And so, maybe it would be kind of fun to go through if we kind of share some things that have changed in our life as a result. And in this half hour, we're going to just scratch the surface, right?
Yeah.
For what has been and what's coming.
Yeah. Remind us again how it started and how we met and what the beginning was, and then where we're moving to the future.
That alone could take all day. So we're going to do the
briefly, the condensed version.
Okay. So Good Fat Life started. I was working with 2 colleagues on a Good Fat Life product. It was and Good Fat Company is still there. I sold out my interest, and because what we found is that people who were interested in eating a good fat snack wanted more. They cared about the world they lived in, the thoughts they thunk. Their impact, their footprint on the environment, who they surrounded themselves with, and they really cared about a lot more things than just eating good fat.
Right.
But good fat seemed to be like a common starting spot.
Right. It's the fuel for all possibilities.
Right. The fuel. So it was the snack. And what I'm really, really excited about is the company. In fact, I was just going through we have a new issue coming out next week, which I'm so excited about.
Yeah, me too.
But I was looking at their product offering, and they have these delicious bagels now that are keto.
Oh, awesome.
And all kinds of desserts and snacks. It's like, oh my gosh. So I'm just letting you know that when I get home today, I'm just ordering up all the new stuff because it's amazing.
Yeah, good.
And it fits with how I want to eat. right? But anyways, I digress. So bring me back, Karen.
Yeah.
That's right.
So anyway, so you started
right.
with Good Fat Life
So
bars.
we started with Good Fat Company.
Yeah.
And like I said, we found that just there was people that wanted to know more. And I'm an educator by heart, an educator and connector.
And a student.
Is what, and
Yeah,
a student, right?
yeah.
I just love those things so much. And I just heard this voice, and I won't go all into it, but this voice from my grandpa, who was a chiropractor, graduated in 1945, and he lived Good Fat Life, right? And I just heard this voice in my head, like, start a magazine.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know anything
Yeah.
about a magazine,
Yeah.
Grandpa. And he's like,
Yeah.
just start it. Just trust that you'll always be you'll always get information at least one step ahead. And so that's where we are. We're in our 4th year now.
Wow.
Can you believe that?
I can. Yeah.
4th year.
Yeah,
And
good for you, because even JFK Jr. struggled with the magazine, right?
Right,
And you're doing it.
right.
Yeah, I don't think,
So, but and then you look at the way we met, right? I have a business consulting company, and one of the things I work with is money. And you were looking for some help around finances and money. And this was I want to say
2 years ago.
Well, it was the magazine already had to be in existence, but our connection had nothing to do with the magazine.
No, right.
Right?
Yeah.
And then you saw the magazine.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So I think I heard about you like 3 years ago. I think you just started the magazine, maybe even 4 years ago. And then we never met. And then I saw your magazine, and I'm like, that has to be you.
And you got the magazine through Snedecor's Cleaners because they distribute to their customers as a value add.
And what I find so fascinating is Sherri Richards is a pretty common name, but somehow I knew it was you.
Yeah.
And I was like, I have to call her at least. And then here we are, right?
Well, but the one thing I want to say about that you did that just reinforced my grandpa's messages to my intuition that there would always be one step ahead is you invited a group of your friends over to introduce me to them and talk about the magazine. And it was just that next step. Those next steps just kept lining up.
Yeah.
And it's like, who does that, Karen?
I know. I just had this feeling, and thank you for trusting me. And thank you for believing me, because I'm just like, I just have this feeling somehow we could do this together, and you trusted that, and here we are.
And our skills are so different, but they complement each other so much, right?
Yeah.
And so I think we could have a whole notebook, a whole magazine on all the synchronicities that have lined up.
Yeah. Plus, it's a good lesson for people in general, for both of us, that even though you might think you're different than somebody or whatever, like, there's so many possibilities with people, and just be open and aware to it. That's the beauty, I think, of us and Good Fat Life. Like, it doesn't make sense on paper, but somehow you're right. It always shows up. We're always here. We just believe in it, and we keep moving forward. And we've been so blessed.
And even that other synchronicity that led us to Speakeasy and to Wayne Media.
Yeah, right.
Our podcast studio that we were in told us, like, on Monday that they were closing.
Right.
And
that was going to be a hard conversation.
Right. And it was going to be a hard conversation. But somehow, like the day before, we had learned that Speakeasy was opening a new studio that week in Brighton, down the street.
Right. Yeah. And then here we are, right?
And then here we are. So it's, and it just keeps happening that way.
The universe always somehow provides and keeps moving us forward.
And I think, but what you just said too is, if you can trust that little voice in your head, the happy, positive little voice in your head, you know, not that little naggy one. That it does work.
Yeah.
It works. And being aware of those little things. We've talked about that a lot too, is just that awareness of those little magic moments, because they're everywhere.
Yeah, and it feels important. And this is a thing that people maybe have a misnomer about, is that we are learning just as much too. It's like we're teaching and we're learning. We're healing and we're healers too. Like we are right in this with everybody. We are just as flawed, just as human. We're trying to learn it all too, right? Like,
Absolutely.
We're all in
it's
it
like,
together.
There's that adage that you teach what you need to know.
Exactly.
And I would say that's so true.
Yeah.
And it's been so fun.
Yeah. So what is some of the things you've been taught by the magazine that have surprised you? Because, I mean, we are doing the magazine and the podcast, but I learned so much from both of them. Just the research and the guests and everything. What would you like
the
to...
list is miles long.
Yeah.
But what I'm going to start with, and I'm just starting here because we're about good fat, right? So really, what is good fat?
Yeah.
So there's like 12 things. So fish oil, we hear that fish oil is a good fat. Excuse me. It is. And so what are the things that fish oil does, right? Just simple things. So it supports heart health.
Yeah.
Okay. So it starts there. It helps our mental health. It gives us a healthy, it can help with mental health disorders. It can help with weight loss. It can help with eye health. It reduces inflammation, and inflammation, we know, is what causes disease in the body, right? It can help healthy, glowing skin. It can support pregnancy and early life. It can reduce liver fat. Liver fat is a big deal, and it doesn't mean that you drink a lot.
Really
it
big
can
deal.
be. It can be lots of things. It can improve symptoms of depression. It can improve attention and hyperactivity in children.
Wow, I didn't know that children can take fish oil. They can.
They can. And then it can help prevent symptoms of mental decline. Alzheimer's. It can improve asthma symptoms and allergy risk, and it can improve bone health. And so omega-3s, which is what is in fish oil, has all those components by just taking, your fish oil supplement today.
And this might sound like a silly question, but is the omega-3 it's in every fish? I know some of the fish, no.
No, and
it's
that's why you want
to get the vitamin.
Right. You want to get the fish oil capsule, but you want to be really mindful about getting one that is, let's see, there's a term for it. EPA and DHA dosage. Where is the concentration? Well, it's all in this article, but I would say,
so it's certain fish that have the fish oil that's good.
But you want to be sure. And I love going to my local health food store. And there's some online places that you can get it. But the point of it is that you want to be sure that you're getting a pure, clean one. And they're not all fish oils are the same, are created equal. But the point, one of the things I wanted to say is this article that we published in our April 2021 issue. There was over 1,000 juried studies. The studies that are by the American Medical Association and stuff. So peer-reviewed studies is what I'm starting to say. In going into this, so this is not just like, oh yeah, we think it works.
Yeah,
whatever.
Right. Yeah.
This is really, it's really relevant data.
Well, not to mention cultures that use fish oil, healthy fish oils. Their cultures and their societies have very little of these problems comparatively. Correct. Yeah.
Yes. And so anyways, so that's just one thing. And it's like, we'll start with some good fats. Fish oil is a good fat.
Yeah. And of course, avocados, right? That's one of our favorite good fats.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
My daughter sent me a picture. She just said, shh, this is an early Christmas present, but I got you and the girls these matching pajamas. And they have avocados on the pants, and it says, you are the avocado to my toast or something. It's so cute.
That's so cute.
Yeah. So anyway, so what about you? I mean,
well, I want to say one more thing about good fat. So, Evan, one of our favorite podcast guests, he was on here before, and he was telling me how he literally eats about 6 avocados a day, which we don't recommend because really you have to do it in small doses, and, you could have 1 avocado a day. But he was saying that someone was saying to him, that's a lot of calories. And he's like, I could take a nap and burn that off because he's so fit.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, he's lived his life in good fats, and he's able able to use the good fats to power his, his physique
His
and all these things.
workouts
So
and
you can
his-
see that in motion in him, and he really lives off the good fat diet, and you can see it in his
Right,
skin.
right.
He's a really good example of that. So if you guys get a chance, check that out. We had a podcast with Evan Kufner, a meditation podcast. Check that out. I think it's like episode 4950. But if you look at him, you'll see the benefits of good fat.
Yeah,
definitely.
No, he is the epitome of,
Yeah.
of fitness and wellness and glowing and
Yeah.
all that.
So the thing that I love about being a co-host for Inspire Good Fat Life podcast and being part of the magazine is the people that we met. So Evan, I just mentioned, and then Dr. Shawnee was here on our podcast, and also she's been on the magazine.
Dr. Shonda Perrin.
Shonda Perrin, yeah. She is incredible. She's also an Emmy winner, right?
6-time.
6-time
Emmy
Emmy winner.
award Yeah.
Award winner, yeah.
Right, for her journalism.
Yeah, and she started Project Forgive, and she was on our podcast, and she is a fascinating person. And
She was nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize.
yeah, can you believe that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's incredible. And
For her work on Project Forgive.
yeah, and she wrote an article for our magazine, and she was on the podcast, and she did what did she call it? A forgiveness, like getting the
apology you'll never receive.
Yes. So we talked about that on the show, and she did a little what do you call it? Like a little exercise with me.
Yeah.
And we talked through. I talked to somebody that I wanted an apology from, and she pretended to be that person, and it really was profound. And I felt like I was heard, and and it really was healing.
I've been through that a number of times, and every time it's and with groups of people, like hundreds of people in the room, and you'll pair off, and it is, and you can do it just like Facebook. She can do it on Facebook and walk you through it, and every time it's just like, oh my gosh.
And I love that she talked about doing it with herself as well. Like,
Right.
She had mentioned that she drove home from, sometimes she drives home from work, she gets a bag of Snickers or whatever. Like, we've all done that. I get Twix, but she was saying how she has to forgive herself and say it to herself. Like, I know you're doing the best, and I know that this is not normally what you would reach for, but, forgive yourself as well. So forgiveness.
But the method that she came up with to do that, I've never experienced before. We always hear forgive yourself and forgive others and blah, blah, blah. But this process that she's developed it's quick, and it's so powerful.
And it's tangible, and you see it working in real time.
Oh my gosh. I've gone through it with all of my family members and some situations, in my past that I just wished were different. And and so as we were saying how Good Fat Life has changed things, that's another reminder. It's like, I don't have any angst around things that used to, when I think about it, would give me angst. It's gone.
Yeah, and I like the fact that Good Fat Life, another thing that's taught me is there's just a commonality between all of us, even, 6-time Emmy Award winners and Nobel Peace Prize nominees. They need to forgive themselves and others too. They're not perfect. Right. So it makes you realize, like, we're all just trying to do this. We can all be exceptional people, but we have to do things like eat good fat, forgive each other. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
And it seems like
take our fish oil supplements.
Yeah. Take our fish oils and have forgiveness and, and be aware of these people in your community and learn from them. So, yeah.
Right. So the magazine and the podcast have given us the medium, if you will, to make those connections.
Yeah.
And have those conversations. So what else? What else is
Well, I really love the 50 Cups of Coffee article that we did. Do you remember?
with Bobby Oddly?
Yeah.
That was so cool. I think it was in this issue, but that was another one. It's like, I do that. I mean, how many times a week do we meet somebody and reach out to somebody that we've never talked to before?
Yeah.
Right?
We don't often do that, right?
But
Or didn't say, I want to know more about you.
But since talking to Bobby Oddly, and in his 50 Cups of Coffee, it was like presencing how important it is to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so we do that. So we probably have 300 cups of coffee.
Yeah, for sure. And I also learned that from one of my good friends. She said, I am going to have coffee with people and they will like me. And she did it, and she ended up becoming Brighton Businesswoman of the Year. And so it totally works. So it does work. Get out there and meet people and spend time, because that's another thing that I learned. Everybody that comes into your atmosphere is there for a reason. So if you can just take the time, if you have the luxury and time to get to know them, it could be a great possibility for both of you.
Right.
Plus just a connection, right?
And plus it's just fun.
It is fun.
Right?
Yeah.
I think also with COVID, since we were so isolated in our homes, right? The outside people were on television, Netflix, the serials and stuff. And not that was bad. There was some great shows that we saw. But it's fun to hear what other people are doing. Yeah. And it expands our world and different perspectives in ways that, how else would you get that? Oh, well, reading will do that too. For you.
Yeah. And also just, I think it's fascinating to wonder why you and this other human being intersected, and what does that mean? It might mean you just intersected, but it might mean something that's, beyond what you even know. So it's important to be aware of that. And there is something about coffee. Like, let's get coffee. It just indicates, like, let's just talk, It's different than lunch. It's different than everything else.
You're right. Yeah. You're right. That is, I hadn't thought about that, but you're right. And fortunately, here in Brighton, right, we have
the best,
Amy. Oh, on our cover here. Amy Guller's Brighton Coffee Theater.
Brighton Coffee House and Theater.
There you go.
B-Cat.
Yeah, the B-Cat.
Yeah, the cool kids call it the B-Cat.
The B-Cat. But it's a great place to go. Yeah. Right?
Yeah, it is a great place to go and meet people and have coffee. Yeah.
And Amy's story was just fascinating, and all that she's gone through. But the dream that she and her husband had to create this, not just because they'd created lots of coffee shops before, but this one was special with the theater.
Yeah, and it
has such a love of the theater. Yeah, it is special.
And she's so brave. She was on our podcast, and she talked about losing her husband suddenly. And in fact, we just saw her at the coffee shop. Yeah. And she was sort of dreading his birthday coming up, and we were able to talk to her about that and kind of support her and talk her through that, and just say we're here for her. And she's been so brave in sharing her grief and her story with us. It's helped me in many ways. And then we think about her and send her that energy, on those days. And so it's just sort of opened my awareness to other people and what they're going through too.
Right. And what so with Amy, there's like a whole list of things. There's realizing a dream and what they went through to make that happen. And then you're right, going through the loss of her husband, which was like 10 months ago. So it's really still very fresh. Yeah. And then also, she's given me a huge gift because we have a lake, and I've always wanted to have some sort of a boat. It's a non-sport lake, some sort of a boat on the lake. And I tried a kayak and just didn't like it. And she's like, "Oh, you need a rowboat." Yeah. Like a rower's boat. And I'm so excited. So now we're looking for a rower's boat, right?
That's awesome. And the best thing about Amy is, this is what I love about her so much, is while she's going through grief, we ask her to write an article about having fun. And she is so self-actualized. Not that she doesn't struggle, but she's like, I can still have fun, and there's still fun to be had. And my husband that passed away would want me to have fun. Right. And so she wrote a beautiful article for the magazine about how she still has fun, and she plays, and she's playing in her house, and how her grief is manifesting, and how play's helping with that. So that was really interesting, and I'm so honored to know her, and it's really cool to watch her journey.
Yeah, no, totally agree with you. And all of the things that we're mentioning, they might have happened without Good Fat Life, but they probably wouldn't have.
Well, we certainly wouldn't know about them.
We wouldn't. We wouldn't. Yeah. And play has been. I could say I'm a workaholic.
Mm-hmm.
I love to work, but my work is a lot of my work is play.
Mm-hmm.
But the other side of it is I need to move too, right? As Doc Adam Rushford says from Hands on Health, you know, your spine is your superhero.
Yeah.
And speaking of which, I had lunch with Dr. Kelly from his office last week. And when she started talking about why I wanted to know what drew her to chiropractic. And one of the things that she said literally had me in tears when she started talking about how important the spine is for our health and well-being. All of our nerves go through our spine, and when you move, just when we move, it sends, you know, these are totally layman's terms, like juice, through your spine and into your body, and keeps you healthy and moving well. But she said it in such a way that she moved me to tears because of her love for the human body and the spine.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
It
like
was
she's
just-
like the protector of the spine.
and it's her life's work to teach people about that and to support people in that. And then so, you know, Doc Adams is always, you know, the spine is a superhero. But there was something in the way Dr. Kelly said that I got, and it changed
Made it, like,
my
real visceral for you.
It was, and it changed my morning yoga routine because I've been going through it, and I do it, and I try to be present and stuff. But after I heard what she said, it's like, oh my gosh, this is not just, you know, something you do
Yeah.
before you meditate. It's like, this is a real gift to my body and the wellness and my brain functioning, my body functioning. And those are the little magic moments.
Yeah. Yeah, think about what a gift your spine is. And if you can get that aligned, like Dr. Adam, who you know, he is a superhero basically,
Right,
you know?
right.
And it really can change the whole scope of your day, what you can do with your life. Like, I mean, it really all starts with the spine, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So anyways, but those things, those are like little magic miracles.
Yeah, for sure.
Right?
And you know what? In the past, I probably was more of a person that was like, I don't need to know the people in the community. I just know my group of people. And I didn't really like set out to like meet people in the community. But Good Fat Life has taught me there's so many interesting people in your community. Like, you have to go out and meet them and see them and know them, like, for your own good and for their good, and show them who you are. And it just expands the community, and it makes you feel happy and comforted that there's all these wonderful people out there, and
Right.
there's so many of them.
Exactly. And
In Good Fat Life, we have an article for each and every one of them, I think.
yeah. So, and we have, what's coming up for next year is like off the flipping charts,
Yeah.
right? And our issue that's coming up. Speaking of which, somebody in our community is Beauty Underground.
Yes,
Right?
Kathleen
London.
London Beauty.
London Beauty.
Yeah, and she's been our co-host, and we've also done crossover podcasts with her, and she has a great shop in Brighton.
Yes. And
Clean makeup.
yeah, with makeup and skincare and all kinds of wonderful things. And I got some, and I've given some gifts, some of the oils, the plum oil, right?
Yeah.
And there's another oil that I just can't wait to wash my face because I get to put on that oil.
I know that plum oil. I wish I could take a bath in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And not only do we love her makeup, but the vibe of the place is amazing, and it brings people together. Like, I've brought my mom there, my daughter there, my friends there. I've met other friends there. Like, it's just a great place.
It is, and
Yeah.
I love, like you said, it's like it's not just for one age group. I so love the fact that she is she's providing skincare and products for all ages
And all
right?
sexes, all everything. Yeah.
Right.
And also, speaking of her, she's writing an article for the new issue, right? That's coming
She
out.
did
Yeah.
on Gathering.
On Gathering,
the
yeah.
issue that's coming out next week is on Gathering, and oh my gosh,
I know. I'm looking forward to reading
You
it.
know, but Gathering is such. Who knew that gathering could bring up, the best and the worst in us.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Right. Especially
So-
like during COVID and all that, when we're
Right.
like, how do we talk at Thanksgiving about politics or not talk and everything? So yeah, gatherings have a lot of energy around them.
Well, and even just, do we wear masks? Don't we wear masks? Who's vaccinated? And anyway, but I have to say we're going to be spending Thanksgiving with my son's family and Christmas with my daughter's family, which is great. And I feel like, you remember when we were Halloween when we were little and you're just like waiting for Halloween to put your costume on?
Yeah.
I just still remember being a 6-year-old and I just couldn't wait to put on my costume.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it was the stupidest little costume. But
Yeah.
it meant everything. And I feel that way about the holidays coming up.
Yeah. I feel that way too.
Just because we can be together, right?
Yeah. And you really realize how important those gatherings are. So
They are.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even matter. I hear people complaining about masks or not masks and COVID tests and blah, blah, blah. And I get it. I do. And so much of it's just becoming a way that we live. It's just part of the day.
Yeah.
You have your mask on your wrist. I mean,
Yeah.
grandkids don't give it a second thought. They just put them on. But so I'm just seeing it kind of become part of the day. And if I have to do those things so that I can safely be with the people I love, okay.
Yeah.
Right?
And gathering so important, and that's why we thought it would be a great theme for this magazine, and how important gathering is, and it's sort of right on time with being able to gather again for the holidays. So I'm really excited about it, and I hope people look for it. And another thing people can look for is we have a kiosk now, a little like kiosk you're going to see in different stores. You might see me or Sherri there, so you can sign up for the magazine. So kind of look for that in the community. Thank you to Sue and Carl Kraus for a Great Lakes Reward for that. And events and people, places, things. We're going to be doing a lot more out in the community. And what else is coming up, Sherri?
Well, so, I'll just go back to, let's talk a little bit about, as we were looking at the things, the different areas of our life that we don't think about. Like we always like to say, it all starts with good fat, and it does, right? But so another one of the things is, sleep. How important sleep is, and the American society tends to celebrate people who don't sleep much, right? And what I'm starting to learn is I discovered yoga nidra.
I love
So
it. Yes.
yeah. So you're the yogi.
Oh
Talk
yeah.
about that a bit.
Well, first of all, sleep hygiene is very, very important. It's one of the most important fundamentals of your day. So if you can plan sleep hygiene and plan a routine, that's the best for your body. And yoga nidra, it helps you a lot. It's kind of like a transient state where you're kind of in between hypnosis and meditation, and you literally just, anyone can do yoga nidra. You can lay there and just breathe, and you follow an experience through your head and through your breath, and it really takes you on a journey. And you can have a yoga nidra script really for anything. You can have it for relaxation, weight loss, anything, but it really is helpful for sleep. And sometimes people call it sleeping yoga. What have you? What
I
do you
didn't
find?
realize
in your
that you
practice?
could use it for things other than sleep. I have Insight Timer, and it's an app on my phone. It's free, and they have a number of yoga nidra, just amazing yoga nidra meditations on it. And
You can also Google how to write your own yoga nidra script.
Oh my gosh.
It's almost
no
like your
idea.
own little
Okay.
subconscious meditation. And I've written yoga nidra scripts as well. I've also done yoga nidra Zooms with my friends. But so you can really heal and go into your body in different spots with yoga nidra. It's really just like focusing with your breath and your mind. But yes, there's many, many different
It's like
scripts.
mind candy.
Yeah, it really is.
But it got me, I started, how much because I love to research. It started me doing research around sleep and night. And I didn't realize how magic the nighttime is, right? There's so much magic that happens in our bodies and to the planet and to the flora and fauna when the sun goes down. And it's been like, oh my gosh, who knew? So it's really, I say Good Fat Life has changed my way of being so much. And that's another way, is to really have an appreciation for the daylight, the transition between dawn and dusk, and then the nighttime in ways I just never did.
Well, maybe you remember, but somebody told us, someone was on the show and I forget who it was. Maybe it was Angela Moore. She was saying how we should go to sleep, wake up with the sun and go to sleep
with the sun.
Yeah, who was that?
I don't
forget.
remember,
One of our many illustrious
Right.
guests. Yeah, and then how we should look in nature and follow the rhythms of nature, which really makes sense because they say every answer you need is in nature. So if you follow the sun and the moon and you sleep your patterns, and with that, you'll be healthier as well. And they also say, you know how like the grass is wet in the morning, there's like dew and everything. They say there's so many healthy properties in that in the water on the grass that if you could just like walk through it or touch it somehow, that like, you know, gives you good juju for your day.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I love
so
that.
I try to I try to go out in the grass as much as I can. Oh, and I remember Kathy from Coca Pelli's, who was on our podcast, she was saying that anytime you can get out and get in the ground, anytime, even in the winter,
just lay on the ground.
Just get into the ground, you know, especially in the morning too, even if it's snow, wet, everything.
Well, and that's funny you mentioned that, because in the mana boxes, right? For the mana boxes that were gifts with women in South Africa or Africa were making for their livelihoods, which is a very, very cool company. And we talk about that in the magazine. One of the things is it's a mat pad, like a picnic pad, but it's coated. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, I could take that out easily on the ground.
I have one and I do take it out.
That's great. It was, you know, it's just kind of funny, those things that you have in your it's like acres of diamonds, right? You know that story, acres of diamonds. It's like we have so many things right here, right in front of us that we don't step into.
Well, they do say, you know, I think it's Buddhism that says everything you need, you already have. And I didn't understand that concept, but it's true.
Right,
it's true.
because it would be such a cruel joke of nature for you to have this desire. And then there's no way that it's possible for you.
Yeah, and if you don't have it, someone's showing up with it and you're just missing it. You know what I mean? Yeah, so that's another thing I've learned from Good Fat Life. And, you know, MK and Mana Boxes, that is such a interesting company, and I feel so good about supporting them. We've had so many people and different companies that have supported other people that we've been so lucky to be able to support. So that feels really good too.
It does.
Yeah.
Another thing is clothes, right?
Yeah. Oh, we both love clothes. Yes.
We both love clothes.
Yes.
And my granddaughters love clothes. And my daughter-in-law and my daughter, it's really fun. So, anyways, I'm happy to see that the next generation and the next generation love clothes as much as we do.
Isn't that something?
Yeah, it is something.
Yeah.
But that said, there's so much I've learned so much from Jim Gilligan at Snedecor's Cleaners, because he's a true he's really on a mission around sustainable fashion and caring for our clothes well and the environment. And I had no idea the whole, I don't know, industry around the fast fashion and what it's doing to our planet.
I think it's the number one contributor to the issues in the environment, right? It's the biggest carbon footprint.
It could be. I'm not positive of that. I don't want to swear, but I know it's right up there. And it's really been fascinating as I've been wanting, as part of self-care, is to get my clothes under control. My closets are a disaster. And my husband is just so, you know, lined up. He's got his shoes. It cracks me up. Yeah. But anyway, since Good Fat Life, I've started to really look at my clothes differently.
Me
and
too.
Is this piece really sustainable? Does it contribute positively to my life, to the environment, to the world? And how do I care for it?
I know I used to be a person that every time I go to Target or whatever, I'd have to look at like the new jammies or sweats or T-shirts just to get something fun. And now it's like, I would never consider doing that. It just seems so, it just seems like that's way too much and it's not aligning with my values anymore. But it just makes you realize how casually we do things and how important it is and how it affects everything. Just like buying a cheap t-shirt every time you go to Target. A lot of people do that, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's just, it really does affect the rest of the community and the environment. So every single thing we do has to be intentional, which is another
right.
thing.
I think that's that's really a good point, is that's what I'm learning, is just to be intentional, right? Do what you do, but don't just mindlessly do it, like you said.
Yeah. Well, I have a great idea for a close. I'm just going to share it with you because this will help people understand who we are. So you and I was thinking we should get a group of people together where we bring clothes that we don't wear anymore and trade them.
Love it.
Yeah, because I mean, it saves money, it saves the environment, it's fun, and in people's style, I could say, oh, I wear it with this or whatever. It makes you look at yourself differently. Like, I think that would be a great party or a great event to do with people, like a clothing exchange.
I love it.
Yeah, let's do
plan
it.
that. Yeah, let's do that.
All right.
So that could be something maybe we do in January, right?
Oh, that's a great idea. After the holidays.
After the holidays.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we're kicking off in January that I'm so excited about is going to be like the 60-day happy challenge, right? So you hear about these.
So you're going to be happy for 60 days in a row. Okay.
So you hear about these like 75 hard challenges. And then they have lots of value. I'm not judging them. And I thought, I want the value of the 75-day hard challenge, but I want it to be happy, right? Let's put some happy energy around it.
So what does that look like? What does a happy challenge look like?
Well, one of the things is it's going to be around, a big component is time management, because it's how you eat, how you move, what you think, right? So all the things that are in there, how you take care of yourself. So we'll have all the elements of the Good Fat Life discovery adventure, but it's going to be packaged in a 60-day happy challenge. And one of the things might be, we're working with Damon Johnson, who's
one of our favorite guys,
and he is such so skilled in physical fitness and how people step into their bodies and use their bodies. But one of the things might be that you dance, whatever dancing looks like to you, to 2 songs a day, whatever they are.
And dance like no one's watching. Right?
Exactly. And it could be Milli Vanilli. I mean,
yeah, right.
But you just feel like moving when certain music comes on, right?
Yeah. And even if you can't dance, put some music on and do it with your mind,
Exactly.
Just feel that energy.
It's that's one of the things we start where you are, and that's okay, right? So if you're sitting in kind of like yoga, if you can breathe, you can do yoga, right?
One of the things I really like about Good Fat Life is we try to offer things that don't really cost money. We're not always saying like, go buy this, go do this. It's really just about simple, just rethinking and being intentional about things. I don't know if you've ever done this, but I've actually had times in my life where I just kind of put on my calendar if I felt happy that day or sad that day. And I kind of like looked at the month and thought, what do I need to change? I had more sad than happy. Have you ever like kind of monitored that?
But
yeah, I think that would be interesting for us to do while we're doing the happy challenge, just to kind of see.
That's a great idea.
Happier.
We'll add that in.
Yeah,
right?
let's make that part of our personal challenge. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So that's cool. The other thing that I'm really excited about are the crispy, the $100 crispy. So we also have the money issues, right?
Yeah.
Money therapy. And one of the ideas that came in a couple years ago from Lori Burns, our
money story,
was that her dad gives each of them a $100 crisp bill and a letter at Christmas.
I love that.
And he's done that for years and years and years. And
that's one of my favorite articles.
It was just, and I started doing that, and it's, and I hear people say, "Oh my gosh, my parents have passed, and what a treasure that would have been to get that." It's really about the letter.
Yeah. So tell us about the letters that you write.
So the letter is talking about just things that you notice with your kids or your grandkids or whoever you're writing it to, right? And what you notice about them in the year that you just loved that made your heart sing.
Mm-hmm.
And then the $100, so there's that edification, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the $100 is they can only be spent on something for you.
Mm-hmm.
You can't pay a bill with it or buy
Mhm.
something for somebody else. It has to be something for you. And, Lori tells a story of her husband saving his hundreds every year and that until he had enough to buy this certain golf club or something that he
Mhm.
wanted. And
Mhm.
so it was just always fun. There's a fun energy
Yeah.
around it and anticipation.
And if you don't have a crisp $100 bill, I used to get $1 in a card every year from my aunt, and I loved getting just the dollar. So if you don't have $100,
Right. It could
send
be
$5.
anything.
Yeah,
It
even the letter is just beautiful.
It's the
yeah.
letter. I mean,
It's
I
the
think
thought,
it's the
yeah.
letter and then that reinforcement, like this is just for you.
Mm-hmm.
So
and I thought, yes,
something that you would do only for yourself. It's only for yourself. And that's the requirement. And and you have to tell me what you did. And if you didn't do it right, well, you don't get it next year or something. I don't know.
Well, yeah.
So anyways,
Yeah,
but
so
we
people-
could talk
Forever,
we could talk
right?
for forever about things that are going on. And so,
Yeah.
what's one thing that you'd kind of like to, what's another thing that you'd like to share?
I would like to share that Good Fat Life really has, for me personally, helped me just realize to be more of a whole person. And I just have been loving meeting other people that are trying to show up their best and show up whole. And just every issue makes me feel like I'm with my best friend. I read it from cover to cover, and it just feels very non-judgmental and a soft place to land. So I'm just looking forward to like more of the possibilities in the future and who we meet, and just getting more of a foundation and a support network. And it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. And I just feel like I keep getting better and better. And I hope that the people around us are learning things and taking something from it they could learn. And I hope that in the future we get more feedback from people, what they want to hear from us, or maybe what we could study for them or learn about ourselves, or, what they would like to do as a group. That's pretty much, I just feel very fortunate to be part of Good Fat Life and fortunate to be part of the future. And I just feel like we have so many possibilities fueling us, right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Every day is just, and just even sitting here talking to you, it's like, oh, I didn't know about walking in the dew.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Right? Just
And
little
also,
things.
we have a story about, like telling your money story. Like this is another thing I learned. Like, a lot of us have shame or guilt, or we have feelings around money. And when I heard the term your money story, I'm like, oh yeah, we all have a money story. And where does it start? And how does it show up in your life? So it really helped me too, just to kind of think of that and be intentional about it, why I'm spending money the way I am, because it comes from a money story, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Which is, we can change at any given moment, but you have to stop long enough to say, oh, what is my money story?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
What is it? And and not as only what is it, but what do I want it to be?
Right.
Right?
Yeah. And it's not that your money story happens to you. You create maybe in the past when you were a child,
Right.
but you create it now. So what does that look like? So, it's just another thing. It's everything with all 8 arms of the self-care, the modern self-care model. Each individual care category is supported in the magazine, and there's always a place to look to feel supported in that way. So I hope that people keep reaching out and keep reading the magazine, and we just keep bringing it to the people. Yeah.
Building the
Yeah.
good fat life.
Building the
community.
good fat life.
Or,
Yeah.
or as we like to say, let's go live our good fat life.
Yeah, I think it's time, Sherri.
Right?
And it was great talking to you. I feel like we could do it forever. And you guys, thanks for listening. And I think it's time to go. So
Yeah.
yeah, great.
All right.